Hey there, and welcome to another episode of the Afcon Show. I'm your host, Nolo, and I'm joined by my panelists, my good friends. In the corner over there, I don't know where there is, but it's Fiso Bengu. Then I have the extraordinaire, the technical person, the only one that can basically thread a needle with balls and cones, Coach C's. And then we have Yellow Mellow, Pretty Boy, Toby Sijaja.
You need to start this over, my man. I'm a grown man. You have to stop calling me a boy. This thing needs to stop. My baby is watching this thing and going like, Emuna, why are you being called a boy? Come on, man. You can't live like this.
So must I say pretty
but
man?
Anyway, let's go on. Don't say pretty. Why must you say pretty? Yes.
But if you're pretty, man, you're pretty. What's going on?
Own it.
No, man. I'm just a gent, man. Go on.
All right. I'm sorry. He's not a pretty boy. We have a pretty man, Toby Sijaja. And gents, I hope you guys are well. The tournament has been flying through. We are at the big boy spender stage. This is where we expect people to come in and cash in that check and take their team to the final. Semi-finals are on the way. Finals are on the way. Then, of course, we have the third and fourth place playoff. But now, if you haven't been paying attention to this tournament, a lot has been going on, not only on the pitch, but also off the pitch in terms of people complaining about stuff related to commentary. But I just want to speak about the first thing that has been on our minds from the round of 16 to the quarterfinals to now, which is something that probably will decide this tournament if it isn't dealt with in a proper manner, in a delicate way for us to move forward. And that is the refereeing standards, the use of VAR, and the red cards. So far, gents, we've had 14 red cards in this tournament, right? That we have 24 teams, 14 red cards. So sooner or later, we're going to basically have an average of 24 red cards if it's not put under control. Sees, my brother, what is going on?
Hey, it's tough, man. Emotions are high. The refs are excited. But some of the red cards, it's been tricky. Some of the red cards I think are warranted and justified. And then some I think, I've been watching a lot on Super Sport, and people were talking about, okay, it's early in the game, did the ref apply common sense? But what you watched, especially in the last 16, for the minnows, a lot of them went down to 10 men. Comoros against Cameroon. I think Gabon went down to 10 men. So a lot of sides went down to 10 men. And I think the refs were very quick to show red cards, and even like Iwobi got a red card. So it was difficult, man. So it was a shame that not a lot of the games could be finished 11v11, that everyone, it needed to be a David Goliath situation, what's happening. So it was a shame.
A shame indeed. And I think we need to give props to, like you said, the Davids of this tournament, because some of them did make it really entertaining. We had a mini debate in and around whether that Iwobi red card was a red card. In my opinion, I don't think it was. I think it was just an error. But Mto, are we basically saying that every time a ref goes to VAR, he's coming back and he's changing his mind?
It would appear so, although I must point out that in a recent game, Victor Gomes, who's a South African ref, went to VAR after being advised to go there, and he didn't change his decision. And I was happy about that, because it's starting to seem as though the refs are losing their power as well. Because if you're told to go to VAR and you don't change your mind, the fans look at it and like, well, why are you not using the VAR then? Because, or the only reason why they called you over is so you could change your mind. And that's not what it is. The final decision still maintains, or still remains, with the match referee, the guy who's on the field, who's seeing the action. But my biggest worry is that there seems to be no accountability for African refs. It's like they can do whatever they like, my man. No one is even sitting them down and saying, please tell us why you came to this decision. And I think because of this, that's why we see this continuation of terrible, terrible decisions.
Hey, terrible decisions indeed. I think a lot of us are perplexed at the fact that every time you go to VAR, someone is going to make an altered decision compared to what was originally decided. And then, of course, with Victor Gomes, hopefully setting a precedent moving forward from the semifinals and the finals that, you know what, I cannot just make a change because I've been told to have a look at something. It's going to be something that will be consistent and kept through. Sfiso, we've had nearly 170. In fact, we've had over 170 yellow cards thus far in this tournament. Do we have a discipline issue, or is the game just gone soft?
I think, sure. It's a bit of a loaded question, that one. I think from my perspective, I probably would also say, the main contributing factor is probably the physicality of African football. Not to harbor on any stereotypes or anything like that, but I think like lana mfethu indodi begana nendoda, kusala indoda noma kusala ibhola, you know what I mean? And that's just how African football's always been. I think the rules have probably made the game soft. I do think that probably over the years, a fraction of those yellow cards probably wouldn't be warranted to be going down as a booking for the players. But I think, we made the comment offline after the first game that we already saw with, what some of the tackles were a bit dangerous or on the edge of a red. But I think more than anything, probably I'd lean towards your comment of saying maybe the game has gone slightly soft. And I think, to just manage emotions and manage the tempo of the games, the refs also have to play their part within the match stage.
So what we're hoping for is refs to manage the game. What we're hoping for is physicality and high competition. And that's going to give us the best product, right? We're not expecting people to be treated like eggs, but we're also not expecting people to just be hooligans and just do whatever they want. But you mentioned something with regards to emotions. And guys, there was a comment that was made by the FIFA president with regards to Africans, hopefully not wanting to cross the border and the African game helping them with that, which was backed up by Patrice Motsepe. So from a commentary perspective, and this is someone who's making their own points on the side, would you say that this is on the same level in terms of infuriating people as much as the commentary from the tournament has thus far? So, Cez, do we need to have better commentary and people from Europe respecting our game a bit more? Because we had to bring in Mark Gleeson to come and save us, our own Mark Gleeson this side in South Africa. But so far, as you and I always say, what needs to improve?
Yeah, no, I think to borrow from Sfiso's hymn book, it's a loaded question. I for one, didn't enjoy. I'm not one for commentary anyway. Except if it's your Mapensela, Babamtetwa, Zamama Sondo, those are my guys because they paint a beautiful picture. But I didn't enjoy the commentary until Mark Gleeson pulled through because he's an African football encyclopedia and he knows the game. And I think the biggest challenge was the guys who were doing it before. You could tell that these guys just did a bit of research and were just reading the names and whatnot. They didn't know the essence of the game and the African game. In the African continent, you've got different languages. Your Swahili, in terms of your country that speak French, whatever, and you need to cater for those people. I thought the first couple of games, we just wanted to cater for the world, and we were like, okay, we need everyone to hear and see what's going on. And it took away a bit from the flavor because it lacked a bit. And then Mark Gleeson came and he saved the tournament. Luckily, if you've got, for example, here in South Africa, SuperSport, you do have those options to pick your guys. But the official commentators, I thought, Mark Gleeson saved the show because at the beginning it was going pear-shaped in terms of respecting the essence of the African game.
I know. Asbong Mark Gleeson for coming through and being substituted in to try and save this tournament from our perspective. But again, I wonder actually if the commentary that he's doing is going to be broadcast to the European side, because so I read a tweet saying that Sky Sports have only had one commentator. There's no dialogue. There's nothing related to it. And of course, Ntanga is not as energetic, as charismatic, and demands your attention like Mark Gleeson. So moving forward, do we learn from this to say that actually the production level that the European networks are giving this tournament is just but a by the way, as opposed to something that has been targeted and is trying to improve and introduce the rest of the world to the beautiful product that is African football?
Yeah, hey, you're coming with these loaded questions, eh?
Hey,
it's like you're also part of the commentary doing your research there, just detailing down what you're going to ask us tonight.
Hey,
but I think, look, I mean, from a tournament point of view, it's hard to tell how they come up with the commentary. I don't know that information. I would need to find out and do some research on that. But what I definitely do think, and it's a point that Caesar mentioned that is very important, you don't want to move away from giving the African people a good product that they can relate to. Because the Afcon, before anything else, is an African showpiece. And we as Africans need to enjoy it. And look, I mean, the Broer, if you say they had one guy who's been commentating the whole tournament, I hope it's Mark Gleeson. I hope it's not the Broer who really didn't know any of the players' names. That was my biggest issue. You can't say he passes it on to that guy on the far side. Who's the guy on the far side, my friend? I need to know who you're talking about. Who brings it back into the center back? Oh, now it's... No, my friend. You're showing that you're not respecting the players on the field. You need to know, at the very least, know their names. You know, even if you're not the most charismatic guy, you don't pace your speech very well or whatever, you stumble, I'm fine with that. But at least respect the players, respect African football, and know their names. Call the Broers by their names.
Respect the players. I think that's something that we need to talk about more. Respect the players, because at the end of the day, when Kevin De Bruyne makes a world-class pass, it's not going to be, oh, that other guy there who looks like Macaulay Culkin. No, it's going to be Kevin De Bruyne. So
who's Macaulay Culkin?
Zinchenko's father.
yeah, Zinchenko's father.
Macaulay Culkin is the gent from Home Alone.
Home Alone.
Yeah. So
what,
so
the,
we need
the child? Is it the child or the
Yes,
tiger?
yes, the
Yeah,
child.
the child.
Yes,
The
you
child.
gents are actually right. He does look like the child.
So we definitely need to respect African players a bit more, man. No, in fact, not even a bit more. We need to respect African players, respect the game. It's not the thing of saying that this is just by the by or this is whatever. European companies should not treat this and make it as though they're doing us a favor. We appreciate the sport. The sport is a sport that we all love. It's the most watched sport in the world. So therefore, we need to give it the respect that it deserves. The same way how Copa America, the Euros, and all of those tournaments, especially, I think the Copa Asia tournament, I don't know what the official name is, but they're not going to say that guy over there. So we need to stop that element. Sfiso, from your perspective, I were to ask you, what's that one thing that you think from a commentary perspective would make things just a bit more? Do we need a piano in the background? So while Mark Gleeson is doing what he needs to, we have Kabza and Pori telling us what do we need to make it a bit more exciting, especially going into the final?
Definitely not Tipian. But I think more than anything, we definitely do need some African flavor. I think more than anything, it has been lacking. And not to sound political in any way, but I also do think it's lacked a bit of color. In terms of the flavor of Cameroon, if you're the host country, I think it should follow through and through, all the way from the marketing collateral to the actual flavor of the game, to the actual people who are the mouthpieces of the tournament. And I think if you look at how the tournament's probably been structured, it has felt like a plug-on, when we talk about commentary, especially. It's felt like, there's a whole event and then we had to find Obab Dlamini was next door to come and speak on something that he doesn't necessarily have a connection to. And I think that's probably a great learning for CAF in for future tournaments, is that we should probably bring in that flavor, so that one day when we do go to Rwanda, or we go to Malawi, or we in Egypt, we get a flavor of who are the big spokesmen of that country from a commentary point of view, and understand that there's stuff like broadcasting that comes into play, broadcasting partners and all of those things, but I definitely think there's a way around it that we can be smarter about as a continent, but most importantly as a federation.
And I hope they're listening, because we do have our own over there. We have Patrice Motsepe, who's the president of CAF. And I mean, as we've seen, he does agree with the FIFA president. So hopefully they can agree on this one, Uguti. Let us give a bit more resources. Let us isolate and find the people who can elevate what people watch. Because at the end of the day, it's all about increasing and bettering the viewing experience. But something that has improved the viewing experience, Mto, I feel like you're a prophet, my brother. Early on, when we started the Afcon show, you said that you feel as though that the big players are not showing up. We've had the round of 16, we've had the quarterfinals, and now the semifinals. I want a definitive answer. Have they showed up? Yes or no?
I'm a hard man to please, man. So they've showed up, but basashotile kancane. No, ngiyadlala, man. Look, they've shown up. They've really played well, and even if they haven't played well, but they've been important enough in the games to be able to influence the games. Mo Salah, I think, single-handedly carried Egypt into the semi-final that they're in right now. Well, I say single-handedly because he scored that goal that led them into the round of 16. So I think they have shown up. Hakimi scored a beautiful free kick the other day, I think against Gabon it was. You saw Mo Salah sliding a very lovely through pass in their game during the quarterfinal for Senegal. So I think they have shown up, and it's good to see them showing up. And perhaps I was premature in my judgment, because now, like you said, this is when the big boys really start to step up. So maybe I should have waited for it to come to this stage and then see them do what they're doing now. But they're starting their stuff out, and it's beautiful to see.
Indeed. Coach Sis, my brother, I want to call you an oracle, because sometimes you say things and we don't understand it. I saw Coach Ulani talking about second ball things, and I just wanted to link him and tag him on your analysis on the ball. But I need you to be on the ball with this one, because you mentioned something about tournament football and how complicated tournament football is. Is now the time where we're starting to see Egypt's pedigree, right? We thought Nigeria was the team to watch. We thought that Nigeria was the team to beat. But here, all of a sudden, now we're seeing that sometimes it just takes moments to win a tournament as opposed to consistent, good football. What has changed in this makeup that we're seeing? Cameroon arguably has been the most consistent out of the four, but with Egypt being there, is this tournament pedigree showing itself?
I think if I can make an analogy and compare it to athletics, for example, if you watch the Olympics and the heats, and the guys will be your favorite in the 100-meter sprint or whatever the case might be, is that they're not popping up really high numbers at the heats and the qualifying, but as soon as it gets to the important one, so the race just before the final race and the final race, that's when they're popping up the top numbers. It's the same with tournament football. Obviously there's different training and playing methodologies, but I think when you peak is very important. If you watch Nigeria, they were the best side in the group stages, and one game into the knockout stages, they were out. I thought they played their best football in the group stages, and Egypt slowly but surely got better as the tournament progressed. Cameroon, Senegal, the guys in the semi-final, slowly but surely got better as the tournament progressed, because I think it was Asamoah Gyan or JJ Okocha was saying that in a tournament, you're going to have a bad game, you're going to have a good game. What you hope is that you have your bad games really early and your good games later on. And that's tournament pedigree, because when it counts, that's when you're having your good games. I thought Egypt were finding themselves as the tournament went by. And right now, they've hit form at just the right time. Even Senegal were very poor in the group stages, but right now, they're turning it up. And all the sides that are in the semi-final, I thought they've peaked really well. So it's important when you plan your tournament to say, because if you're finishing third best place, you really don't need to play your best football in the group stages. You need to make sure I've got enough in the tank to play my best football when it matters. When it matters is the game where if I lose this one, I'm out. So it matters last 16, quarterfinal, semi-final, final. So it's been a pretty good showing by the big boys in terms of tournament pedigree. So yeah, they've done well. Hey, I see a question coming.
Siso.
I have a question. Based on what Caesar just said, Caesar, is it also a case of maybe holding your cards close to your chest? You don't want to show the rest of the tournament everything that you have too soon? Or does it just happen naturally that maybe you don't start so well and then you peak as the tournament goes by?
It's a bit of both, man. I mean, in any sport, even if you're thinking boxing, tennis, I know you're a tennis guy, is that you really don't want to go all out in the beginning. Wear yourself out, play all your cards, do everything, because that's that. So you really want to ease into things and go. Football is a game of process. It's a game of momentum. And you get that if you do the right thing. So you find that in games where Egypt were playing really badly, they were working on their process. And that's why they're mastering it. And you find that Nigeria, it was just going, winning, but there was no process. It's not like things which you can repeat over and over and over and over again. And that's what happens. So sometimes it's luck and those kinds of things, but process is very important. And process doesn't look very, very good at the beginning. It looks bad. But if it's done right, it gets you in the semi-final.
I know. Hey, this man is preaching, guys. The oracle himself, Coach Ulani. I have a guy, and
wow,
I know his Christ.
Relax.
If you guys need someone, we can make it happen. Sfiso Mapoy, you were very stern, and you believed in our Super Eagles. You believed in our Niger brothers, but it hasn't happened the way that you thought it would have happened. Now we see that Morocco has gone out as well, and we thought that they were probably going to be there. But I want to ask you, do you think that it's just a thing of fate, Uti, between Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah, teammates, Liverpool teammates, right? One of them is going to the final. But also, between Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah, one of them is going to the World Cup. Is this a thing of Utumchaiso, or vele someone is coordinating these things?
I'd like not to be embroiled in any suspicions of cooking the parts of these teams. But I just think also, Usizwe touched on it in his parting point, in that football also does have a huge element of luck. And I think I'll go back to where this question started. No one would have imagined in Nigeria to not be at the Final Four. Do you know what I mean? But again, I think one thing that's also worth mentioning is Burkina Faso's consistency. If you look at the past few tournaments, they've literally made it to the last four. And I think it's probably a case of an Arsenal, the best number fours, consistently runners up, consistently the worst best team, consistently.
They know a guy called Arsene Wenger.
Do you know what I'm saying? So I think it's all of those things where there's merit in it. There's also merit in being amongst the top teams. But I think, to not digress from the point that I'm trying to make, is that if you look at the element of luck, the element of fate, the football gods will always conjure their own script that, seemingly will make it seem worthwhile to see a final of love for the fans and for the beauty of the game. And I think that's where we currently are. I think I'm highly disappointed about the Super Eagles, to be very honest. But again, the team that took them out is no longer in the tournament. So there's also that.
And we've seen a few upsets in this tournament. This is not a tournament for the faint-hearted, gentlemen. This is a tournament where you need to put your money where your mouth is. So I'm going to ask you guys right now to end this off. Who do you guys think we're going to see in the final? On Sunday, there can only be two teams. C's, who's going to be there?
Yeah, this is a difficult question, my man. I think the final is going to be Senegal and Cameroon. And I think Cameroon might win it.
Okay, no. Leo Soebamba before the final, we'll talk about.
No, I want to put my head on the block vele because angifuni bathi hey bosothembele ini ayingifuni uyikhuluma kusese manje.
Okay, fair. Siso, my brother, who are we seeing in the final?
I think we're definitely seeing an upset in one of the semi-finals. The hosts are going to go out. I think the hosts are the best that they're going to do is third place. I think we're going to get our dream final. It's going to be Sadio Mane versus Mohamed Salah.
Ooh, a love story from the cop. Is that what it is? The cop? I was going to say something else. A love story from Klopp, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
Best of both worlds.
So, my brother, who are we seeing in the final?
Also, can I just point out, why do you say Mohammed? Mohammed.
No, it's not. It's not Mohammed.
We show the Arabic way.
Mohammed.
No, man. No, but anyway, I do agree with both Janes. I do agree with Fiso that Burkina Faso have done well in the last tournaments, and by virtue of that, I see them in the final. I think they'll beat Senegal. And I also agree with the fact that there might be an upset, as Caesar said, but the upset will come for the hosts. I don't see them making the final. So I see a final of Burkina Faso and Egypt.
Hey, man, this one is tricky. So we have two people saying that Egypt are going to be in the final.
Are you also going to put your head on the block?
He has to. You have to.
No.
Yes, you.
No.
You,
You
Mohammed.
have to.
I'm another. Okay, look, I think this is going to be the love story from the club. A love story from club from the cop. We're seeing Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane on Sunday, and we will talk about that in our next episode. So, guys, we will see you then. Till then, enjoy the semi-finals. Let us know what you guys think. And hey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one on the next Axis. Sharp.
Show Mohammed.